Good morning, everybody. Hope your evening went well. Another pleasant one in Wichita, kind of sprinkling rain. We've got sprinkling rain today, but temps are supposed to move back into the high 80s today and be bumping against 100 here for the next week in the forecast with a humidity to match given all the moisture that we've had. The drought has been cured through the Central Plains. The worst drought still remains in California. And we should expect normal grain, grass, hay production out of the Central Plains. Now, given the heavy rains that we've had, we'll start to see articles about delayed plantings in corn, delayed plantings in corn due to all that moisture. The humidity will be really good for really good pollination for everything that's been in the ground. And then late in the summer we'll see articles about the dangers of an early frost. There's always something to get you to read these publications. So overnight, China's market's up for the second day. Only equity market that was down was Japan's, so that's the major news focus. China's rout in their stock market is over. Buy stocks, and they did buy them. We'll look at it on the E-mini, whether this was known before the fact or not, or whether or not the markets are manipulated. But second thing is that looks like the EU has been pressured enough, some by its own internal members, France and Italy, outside pressure from the US. So the EU is at least going to extend the maturities of Greek debt, and they're going to cut interest rates. And it looks like Greece will implement the proposed changes in their pension plans and increase taxes. What will increase taxes do to the Greek economy? It'll slow growth even further. But risk-off investments were not in favor overnight because of the Greek EU deal and China's stock markets, so treasuries have been sold. And you can see they were sold at the opening right here. Now China's markets don't open until 10 or 11 Eastern time. So how did these guys know to sell the market before China's markets open? How did they know to sell the market before positive moves in the European Greek deal or accord? And it just shows you that some people know before the fact. They know what's coming news-wise. They pay to get their hands on this kind of news, and that's why we join them. Okay, looking at yesterday's profile, it was a down profile. The market finished weak. The market opens, and when you break that low right there, you sell stop into the market. And your trading target minimally would be this high volume number at 2610, and then stops below the last day session low over here. So you have a trading target at 2610 down to 27.7, and the market makes it down to 3.5. Okay, when I looked at the markets early this morning, our first resistance was in the 7.5, 9.5 area, and we're there right now. So if we can't get through this high volume number at 11.5 right here, or 9.5, then the market becomes a sell. So we're going to put our first sell band 11 to 15, and then 19 to 23 off the idea that there's at least one sell left in today's market. On the buy side, support is at 1 to 5. The market is pointed lower, but quite often we see a low in W or X. So we're going to put 1 to 5 as buy 1. 25 to 29 is buy 2. Now, why would we be interested in buying? Well, number one, usually after an auction it's a pause day, and without a major piece of news, then the market tends to trade sideways. The major cash buyers are all on the sidelines. They've gotten their purchases. The dealers have sold it to them. They now have to balance their books. So you take two of the biggest components out of the market. But we have a shot at a pause day. The other thing is, has anything really changed? I mean, the Greek economy is in shambles. They don't quite have a deal yet. They're supposed to have it by Sunday night. And what's really changed in China? We are getting a relief rally in a heavy, in a down market, or is the bottom truly in? Put all of this stuff together, I think there's enough uncertainty that it'll create a trading range. And that if we get our proper setups in this 26 even area, 2604, then we can take a shot at the long side. But I do think the first trade is a sell. Could be as low as 9, leaning against that 4-letter ledge. In fact, let's make it that way. Let's make it 9 to 13. And then 19 to 23. The 1 to 5 buy probably is a little aggressive, but you know, this market looks bad, and then it turns on a dime, and you really have to get used to that when you trade the financials. All buying or selling interest dries up in that last tick, and things can look pretty bleak, and then you can see the market turn in front of you. Okay, looking at the 30-year, which is where the action, the knob spread got clobbered again last night. We went out at 24.31. We came in this morning, or when I looked at it, it was at 24.01, a loss of 30 ticks. So there's room to the upside. Think again, the first trade is a short to the downside. So we've got resistance at 13, so 11 to 15, sell 1. And then we'll up it to 23.27 for sell 2 to pick up this area. 30-year auction was weak yesterday, and the participants knew it coming in. And again, how do you know the Chinese market's going to rally, and how do you know that Greece is going to get a deal? You know, for the last 3 months we've been saying that the most likely outcome would be Greek debt would be extended, interest rates would be lower, and that Greece would have to make changes in their pension plans and probably have to raise taxes. Northern Europe isn't going to pay for a almost universal retirement at the age of 55. And Greece has run out of other people's money. That's what it boils down to. This socialistic model, socialism has never worked. It can never work. It's a way for politicians to get elected. It's a way for politicians to reap the rewards of being in office, like get rich. But it impoverishes the population over time. Great ideas, but it ignores human nature. If you incentivize people not to work, sit on their duffs, and make life easy for them, that's exactly what most people are going to do. And at some point, the productive element of your society quits working because it's easier to sit on your duff and do nothing, or they go elsewhere. And you can see that in the United States. The migration is from blue states to red states. Why? There's more economic freedom and less government interference. Look what the blue state model has done to California. That used to be everybody wanted to go to California, go west. The answer, it all happened first in California. Now their economy gets weaker and weaker year by year. So here we are. Where do we buy it? Got a low of 30. We are pointed lower, so let's try 29 to 01. Buy 1. That's pretty aggressive. We want our setup. And then 17 to 21. We'll pick up this high volume number for buy 2. As fast of a mover as this is, we really open it up on our number 2 points. Now, from a trader's standpoint, we got plenty of time to get long. The sell is what has to happen quickly. And so we can be more aggressive on the sell side than we can on the buy side, or should be. Gold, another night of pretty much sideways, not a lot going on. There was an article out in Zero Hedges that derivative manipulation by the market makers of the large trading houses is what's holding gold down. Don't know if that's true or not, but again, this 55, 57, pretty good buy area. That's where we liked it last night. Then 50, 52. And then yesterday's high was 66. The overnight session high is 62. So we're pointed higher up here. Let's make 64, 66, sell 1. And then 69, 71, sell 2. Okay, looking at the euro. Okay, when there is a deal pending, looks like they've got a deal, the euro rallies. When the deal is announced, the euro really sells. So looks like we have a deal pending. I think a deal's out, deal's going to be done, the euro rallies. No magic there. So we got this high volume number at 16. We're at 11.95. So 16 to 25, 15 to 25, sell 1. 40 to 50, sell 2. On the buy side, we had the breakout from 11.50. We're at 11.94. So 50 to 60, buy 1. Then the buck, buy 2. 11.25 was, well, let's make it 15 to 25. 11.25 was resistance. Now it should be support. Okay, why would Europe want a deal? It protects their 50 largest banks. In Europe, pension plans don't buy sovereign debt. Banks buy it. That's how it's all financed. In the United States, that risk is transferred to pension plans and long-term investors more so than the government. And so extending Greek debt, if Greece is going to leave the EU, they want it done on an orderly fashion. This buys everybody time to come back and sit and see that Greece does leave in an orderly fashion. Okay, Greece might be back in the equation, buying crude oil, etc. So again, the high, London is a very, very important session for crude, gold, and the euro, and you always want to do splits. And I do splits for our financials and equities too, because quite often the high or the low will come out of London. London is a very, very important market, and as our laws and regulatory burdens become more onerous, I would not be surprised to see London as not being the number 2 money center in the world, but becoming the number 1 money center in the world. What our country is doing right now to destroy U.S. leadership in whatever categories they did have leadership is just, it's absolutely amazing. Short America is, is the trade. And everybody sees it. Everybody knows it. And they're positioning and taking advantage of it. Okay, we had this 54 area up here to 54.12 as resistance, and it held. This was the spill, so selling into that 2-letter ledge. Usually on go with markets, they get about 50% into these single prints, and that's a good. If you wanted to put a resting limit order on, leaning against a 2-letter ledge or a high volume number is a good place to do it. And if you're looking for a place where you might get a trade on, 50% into these single prints works very well. Definitely have a B from the overnight session, so 53 1/4, 53.50, sell 1. 75 to the buck, sell 2. We'll make stops below the overnight session low, possible, like so 52.50, 52.75, buy 1, and 52 even plus or minus, buy 2. K to the ES. Now, again, I just want you to come back and just think about this F1 screen, and this is where our assessments come from, whether we want to be long or short. Heavy selling yesterday, weak close. Things look pretty grim. Things look pretty black. Looks like the bottom's going to fall out of the market. And what do we get? And you can just see these schizophrenic runs to the high with a next day reversal. Let's run to the low with the reversal started in the overnight session, and here we are. So the issue again to me is, can you get through 75.80? And resistance is going to start at 70 to 75. So we're still in a trading range. The economic news continues to weaken. I have 2 times for Yellen to speak today, 12 on Econo Day and 12:30 off of Forex. So we'll make 12 to 12:30 Yellen, and Yellen's probably the news focus of the day. So when you look at China, the low end, is it back to at least a trading range, maybe a higher market? China wants to buy. If China forbids selling in 40 by all large institutions in all of their stocks, and if the People's Bank of China is buying, then there's a pretty good chance we got a tradable low in right now. But have the economy changed in China? And my guess is no. So I think China's market probably best case will be a trading range, and there's a good chance the low is in for a while, just because of all this intervention that's taken place by the state. If our Fed and the European Central Bank can prop up our markets without near the moves that China has made, then probably a pretty good chance that China can prop up their markets for a while too. So trading range is what I'm looking at. A little bit higher. Let's go get the stops from yesterday. Let's take out yesterday's day session highs, and then we'll see what we have at 70 to 75. So you can see gaps. Now again, why was this, after this close from yesterday, why was this thing bought on the open? Well, you've got the market, the large boys, the big boys are in control. They're able to run it up and reverse it and run it down with impunity the next day. So they have run it down, so it could be higher, if the idea was a trading range and support is held, or it could be because people knew that Jack Lew from the United States and France, Holland, and I don't know who's Italy's leader is, were able to get some changes made in the EU proposal. My guess is it's probably a little bit of both. We know that, Steve, and that's why we try to join them. We try to trade with them. And hopefully you got some good positions in the overnight session. So, getting stops above yesterday's highs right here. They've already done it. So we've got a little bit higher in the day session. We'll make 69. There's no news to speak of today besides Yellen's speech. So 70, 71, sell 1. And 74, 75. I think that 75 area really offers a unique opportunity for a short. On the buy side, they make you pay up early, so 60, 62 is buy 1. And buy 2 will go back to our 55, 57. Let them test the 55 area. So like I said, no news today. Yellen's speech is probably the market's focus. Has anything really changed overnight? I would maintain that it probably hasn't economically. But you can't fight the Fed. You can't fight these central banks, especially if they will print money, and most of them are more than willing to print money these days. Be with you as soon as I can. Good trading in the meantime.